Hi, my name is Elizabeth Carlson-Hom, and my presentation is on Herman Melville. Herman Melville was born in New York City in 1819. His father, Allen Melville, was a dry goods merchant. His mother, Maria, was the daughter of Peter Gavsvoort, a famous Revolutionary War hero. His father died when Melville was 13 years old, leaving his mother dependent on family to support them. Herman Melville left school at age 12. He had several jobs, including working on a farm, working at his brother's store, and at a bank. At 21, he left the United States to travel the world. He used his travels to the South Pacific as inspiration to write his first book. That book, TP, was published in both the United States and Great Britain in 1846. His second novel, Umu, was published in 1847. Melville's success allowed him to marry Elizabeth Knapp Shaw, the daughter of Lemuel Shaw, the Chief Justice of the Massachusetts Supreme Court. Together, they had 4 children: Malcolm, Stanwix, Elizabeth, and Francis. Our reading for this week was Bartleby the Scrivener, was published in 1853. Herman Melville is best known for his novel, Moby Dick. My argument is that most of Melville's works, but particularly our reading for this week, Bartleby the Scrivener, has a constant theme of questioning and challenging authority. Bartleby is hired by an attorney on Wall Street to be a scribe. Therefore, the relationship between Bartleby and the lawyer is one of a dominant employer and his subordinate. He has a really boring job of copying words over and over and over again. There are 3 scribes at present in the office: Turkey, Nippers, and Ginger Nut, who are at the beck and call of their boss, the attorney. The attorney realizes he needs more help, so he hires Bartleby. Bartleby is described as working, quote, silently, palely, and mechanically, end quote. Bartleby doesn't say anything to the others in his office. He is given papers to scribe and does an excellent job. He is pleasing his employer. The attorney is used to his every command being instantly done. However, Bartleby is not like the others. The attorney asks Bartleby if he will examine a document, to which Bartleby informs the attorney, "I would prefer not to." Bartleby is essentially saying, "Thanks, but no thanks." The attorney is taken aback and repeats his demand. Bartleby repeats, "I would prefer not to." This is Bartleby's open defiance of his employer and the Wall Street system. The befuddled lawyer lets it slide, more out of shock than anything. He didn't know what to do with him, and he thought long and hard about it. Bartleby's declination to do his job drives the attorney and his coworkers crazy. Bartleby has violated the professional code of expectations by doing nothing at work. The attorney admits he is, quote, unambitious, but he still expects his employees to do their job. However, Bartleby refuses to do anything that is asked of him by his employer. He doesn't flat out refuse by saying no. He just continues to say, "I would prefer not to." Shortly thereafter, Bartleby refuses to write anymore. Bartleby is told to start performing his job, or he will be relieved of it. Bartleby refuses again. He continues to say, "I would prefer not to." In fact, he says, "I am done writing." This is the same thing that Melville supposedly said to his brother while in Europe. The lawyer has now become obsessed with Bartleby's passive resistance. He allows Bartleby to stay on the payroll and not work. Bartleby's exercising his passive resistance to the corporate system he has been forced into to earn a living. The verb prefer, used in this paradoxical way, is infuriating with its false politeness. After he discovers Bartleby sleeping and living at work, the attorney states, "Nothing so aggravates an earnest person as passive resistance." Bartleby is eventually relieved of his position when the attorney moves offices, but then stays in his old residence almost as a squatter. The attorney doesn't want to call the police on Bartleby because he pities him. The attorney feels guilty for his success in the commercial world and feels sorry for Bartleby. The attorney actually goes above and beyond what a normal employer would do, but Bartleby refuses to acknowledge any of his offers. He even offers him money, a corporate buyout, if you will, if he just goes away. Bartleby says, "I would prefer not to." The attorney offers to find Bartleby other employment. He continues to say he would prefer not. Bartleby is eventually arrested and thrown in jail as a vagrant. The attorney visits Bartleby in jail, trying to get him to eat. The attorney is still trying to control Bartleby in prison, but he again rebuffs the attorney's attempts to help. Melville's Bartleby character represents the everyday employee in an employer-employee relationship who has had the desire to push back against authority. Bartleby doesn't use any violence, he just simply stands up for himself and refuses to do a mundane task day in and day out. Even though it's his job, he has decided he is done doing it, because no one ever speaks up for themselves as Bartleby did. The attorney is almost infatuated with Bartleby and does attempt to help him. Bartleby almost is too far gone at that point to be helped. He could easily represent a character in corporate America today who feels their soul is owned by the corporation they work for. Melville's attempt to address social issues like inequity went mostly unnoticed in his time. Some of his social progressive writings were even deemed too dark. Melville is now seen as a man who was actually ahead of his time. The walls inside the office are also confining. The rooms are segmented and restraining. Melville used the rooms as a metaphor for restraining the individual and forcing them into compartments. Melville's time was that of the Industrial Revolution, when work environments were rapidly changing. Was it Bartleby protesting? One could argue it's the capitalistic society, but one could also say that Melville's Bartleby is resisting the human condition. This video offers a somewhat comical explanation of Bartleby the Scrivener and its theme.